in a sales process, one of the things that I sort of help clients really understand is that you're going to be disconnected to the result.
Hey there, are you ready to be fired up? Because I sure am. Today I've got Bob Sears. OMG! He has been a sales trainer in the past for Tony Robbins. Yes, the Tony Robbins and Chet Holmes. And so I cannot wait to talk to you about sales and persuasion techniques, how to actually overcome objections. So if you want to learn how to overcome objections from sellers to gain more listings, gain more buyers, and gain more contracts as a lender or a real estate agent, then this is the podcast for you. Hey, Bob, how are you?
So good. Yeah, it's so funny. You know, I started looking around when we were talking about, I get so jazzed about sales. And when I started looking, and by the way, don't tell anybody, but I really sucked when I first started. So I used to get in here and I tell people like, I was learning everything I could. But when I started working for Tony and Chet, sort of it was like, like the whole world opened up because I started realizing certain strategies and techniques that if you use them correctly can position you so much better than, and you mentioned influence, right? So one of the things I always talk about is Cialdini's principles. And if anybody wants to read an awesome book, right, it's Influence, the Science and Practice by Robert Cialdini. And I use an acronym, CRAWLS: consistency, reciprocity, authority, liking, social proof, and scarcity. And when you know those things, you can knock it out of the park. So we always analyze. I kind of looked at, and when I started training all around the world, it was funny because people would come up and I go, what's your objection? Like, give me a hard objection. Can't afford it. I'm like, that's not a hard objection. They were like, I don't have any time. I'm like, that's not a hard objection. So one of the things that I started, so one time I was on stage and out of the blue, I go, tell me to go away and die. Which, by the way, is hysterical when you tell someone to tell you to go away and die. So like if I said, Krista, tell me to go away and die, which you can, it's okay, really, I give you permission.
Go away and die.
Krista, I can appreciate you wanting me to go away and die, but if the next 2 minutes, 37 seconds, I could show you 3 ways to double your business, would you give me at least 2 minutes and 30 seconds before I go away and die? Would you do that for me, please?
Yes, I would.
See, and that's the difference. It's really not you can't be connected to the objection. And in a sales process, one of the things that I sort of help clients really understand is that you're going to be disconnected to the result. Now, let me explain that because it's so important. What is the main thing everybody teaches you when it comes to sales? You're going to be in high rapport, right? Even Tony, anybody who's gone to a Tony Robbins event, they take 2 strangers, put them up on stage and they stare at each other and then they know what they're thinking, feeling, seeing. That's high rapport, right? Yeah. And when we do that as a we're supposed to do that as a salesperson.
But I will tell you though, I feel, okay, so like, I know when someone's trying to build rapport with me and it just irritates the hell out of me. And I'm a total type DI personality, but it bugs me. It's like, I don't care about the weather or
because that's like, fake rapport.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, and by the way, one of the things, I'm so glad you brought that up because I see scripts. I saw a script today and it said, how you doing today? And I went,
yeah, it's like, I don't care how I'm doing. Yeah. Don't ask how you're doing.
If you just met someone and someone comes up and goes, how you doing today? You go, salesperson. You're instantaneously thinking they're a salesperson, and fake rapport is insulting.
It is. So don't waste my time. That's how I feel.
Exactly. So one of the things and this goes way back, but how to win friends and influence people. People are starved to be listened to. And that was 35, 40 years ago. This phone has made it so that now people they don't even know what it is to be paid attention to. So the way you build real rapport is by listening and repeating back key items. Again, a question I usually ask clients is, what's the single biggest challenge you have in your business? Or what's the single biggest challenge you have to selling your home? Or so you're finding out what is their challenge. And then the person who can actually understand the challenge the best and explain, they almost gives them permission to help them with the solution. So that's first off. And the reason we're talking about rapport is that in high rapport, if you actually, which is what you need to be to sell somebody, if you're connected to the outcome, and what I mean by that is that I want to sell you to get a commission.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you're in high rapport, remember the Tony Robbins illustration, they actually, it's been amazing. You've been to UPW where they do that, right? And it's crazy because the person will go, I think you're at the beach. And they're like, oh my God, how did you know that? And it's like a breeze. And they're like, how did you know? Like, it's freaky, right? Like it's so crazy, the things that they can literally glean off of a person just in high rapport. So here's the secret. If you're a salesperson and you're doing your job and you're at high rapport, and then you go to close them, and then you become attached to the outcome and you go, man, I really want to close this person. Guess what they feel?
They feel it.
They feel it. And it sets up an antenna like, oh, they're just trying to close me. And the relationship, the rapport you built goes right out the window.
So let's do a couple things here. I want to talk to you about your acronym that you just going over each piece of it. And then I want to go over some, so first of all, sit back, don't leave. And by the way, just real quickly, if you want to learn more sales strategies and techniques, you want to learn digital marketing, social media, how to use video, how to attract business, go to KristaMashore.com/bootcamp podcast. That's KristaMashore.com/bootcamp podcast and sign up. Okay. I want it. So we're going to go
like a tough tongue twister that you created.
I know. Well, it's for our boot camp, our 3-day virtual boot camp. It's 2.5 days. And it's live. It's awesome.
I know it is.
I want to be able to have you go over like the most common objections that people get, like commission and, oh, I need to wait, I'm interviewing other agents. We'll go over that. Somebody else offered 4%. We're going to go over the main ones, and Bob's going to help us with scripts and how to overcome these objections. Okay. So, okay, Bob,
let's start with the, let's start with the Cialdini's principle. So let's go over, crawls, right? So write this down, but you'll actually remember it after I share this with you.
Crawl?
It's consistent. Yeah. So consistency, reciprocity, authority, liking, social proof, and scarcity. So it's LSS, not like crawls, like I'm crawling around. Okay. So what happens is C is consistency. We want to be consistent with what we think or say or believe. So I'll give you an example. In the example I use, especially pre-COVID, everybody's been in a mall at some point and someone's come up to them and says, excuse me, would you fill out the survey? And you're like, no, I don't have time. Right. And usually a person just walks away. They actually, in his new book, Persuasion, asked Cialdini, can you get better results? And he said, actually, I could get you better results. And they're like, how? So if someone came up to you, Krista, in the mall, you didn't know them, and they said, excuse me, ma'am.
I always say no. I'm always like, no.
If someone said you like to help people, you would say no? Yes,
I do.
You say, yes, I do. And then I would say,
yes, I like to help people. Yes. But I hate those stories. But I would say, yes.
Well, everybody does. But the pre-frame is not correct. So we're going to talk pre-frames for a second. But if someone came up to you and said, excuse me, ma'am, do you like to help people? And I know you'd be like,
yes.
Oh, I love to help people.
Yes.
I love it. And they would go, great. Could you help me fill out the survey right now? And you'd be like, oh, crap. Because in your head, you still want to be consistent with what you say. Now, I'm going to let everybody know in sales, right? There's not 100% win ratio. It doesn't work, right? That's just not happening. It's either the wrong time, whatever. So I tell clients that what we want to do is increase the closing ratio, and we want to do it in a way that's stacking it, right? So the more we do that's right, the greater likelihood that we'll move the client forward. So this is one element. That doesn't mean just because I do a real good consistency statement, the person's going to move forward, but it does mean that it's harder for them to say no. Okay.
Yes.
By the way, I'm going to give you a great example. This is innate to human beings. These things I'm teaching right now are innate to human beings, which means if the person says sarcastically, because they don't like helping people, anybody know somebody like that? They may say, yeah, I love helping people. But notice they said it out loud, and then the person goes, great, would you help me fill out the survey? the person will literally look around and go, did anybody hear me say it? Because I don't want to go against what I just said, because that means that I'm lying to myself, which is
Yeah.
why consistency. And one of the things that when we go through the objection, I'm going to teach everybody is that if you do really good at the challenge with objections is people don't pre-position the frame prior to getting the objection.
Have you
So
read
let
the
me
book Sway by Ori and Ron Brofman?
I
Sway.
haven't.
You got to read
Am
the
I
book
using
Sway.
some of the strategy from that? I
All
haven't read
about
it.
persuasion, about like things that happen before one event completely changes the outcome, and they give like hundreds of examples of how, I mean, real life stories of how things based upon what happens prior, it completely changes the outcome, and it's so true with sales.
It does all the time. I'll give you an example. A lot of times I get clients and they give me their script. And I'm like, there's no Cialdini, like they haven't created influence within it, right? And what happens is they're what I call benefit dumping. They're giving all the benefits, but there's
Yes.
no emotional attachment to the reason why I would move forward for the client, right? So if I said, so one of the things that you'll hear, let me use a car dealership as an example, because this is another one that I love. Who here has ever bought a car and like no one loves to buy a car, right? Like that's the
You walk
worst
in, you're like, oh my God, I'm
experience
just looking. Like, leave me alone.
ever. I know. And it's like, but what they do if they're smart and they know these principles, and I've actually had a card person do this to me. They came over to me, they go, well, what would you like to spend? And I gave them an amount and they go, great. And they wrote it on a blank, listen to this. They wrote the amount on a blank piece of paper and said, sign it. And I said, I'm not signing anything. Right? That's literally what I said. And the guy said, I mean, it's just giving you the amount. I just want to make sure that we're confirming the amount that you want. And it's so innocuous, right? I'm like, oh, all right. Because this is before I knew Cialdini's principles. What they were doing when I signed it, now if he got the amount, all he would have to do at the end, if I said, no, I don't want to do that, he would go, well, wait a minute. You signed this, said if we could get you this amount, you'd be happy to move forward.
What was the name of the book? It's Robert
Cialdini. It's called Influence, the Science and Practice. But I'm giving you the cheat sheet.
Okay, I like that. Okay, I like that.
So the second thing, so we got consistency, really important, by the way.
Next one, reciprocity. It's like when you go to Costco and they give you the free samples.
Exactly. They give you something and you want some in exchange. The one I use is, and it happens, well, COVID kind of messed things up, but you go to a Christmas party, and this happens every year.
Oh,
Someone
yeah,
gives you a gift, and you go, oh, shit. In your head, you say, oh, shit, but you go, oh, Krista, I totally left your gift. I forgot at home. I'm so sorry. And you know the person's lying, and you go, it's no big deal. I just wanted to get you something. And then they open it up. Well, what happens when they open that up is now they know how much roughly you spent.
Good.
And once they know value, and by the way, what else are they feeling? Guilt.
Guilty.
Right? Reciprocity is really kind of a guilt feeling. What do? The first opportunity they get, they go get you something, but they always get you something of higher value.
A little bit better, yes.
So one of the things, like, I know that you give your free book, you're giving your Switch bracelet, like the things that you're doing, that's something as a benefit, because it really is a benefit, but it also creates value in what you do, how you do it. Once it creates reciprocity, which is really what you want to do. Everybody should do that.
What gifts
You
could
want
they
to
give?
value.
Yeah, so somebody goes on a listing appointment, right? Or a lender meets, let's start with realtors. You go on a listing appointment. What could you give to the seller of value?
So you've got a book.
Yeah.
To me, that's like the juiciest thing, because first of all, value.
You give the book. We give the book all the time. Yes, all the time.
It's such a high perceived value.
Yeah. Okay.
But here's the difference. Now, like I told you, I think I would have had a chapter or at least a page. Now, because you're an author, there's something called setting the buying criteria. What does that mean? Setting the buying criteria. It means that you set the buying criteria for the client you're selling.
Yes.
So the cool thing is if you have a book, any gift could work, but if you had a book and you said, listen, this is my book, it's going to, and listen, whether I'm a good fit for you or not, I always sort of do a little takeaway, whether I'm a good fit for you or not, Krista, I want to give you my book. Just so you know, and by the way, even if you didn't have this in your book, you could set up a page. Listen, I actually got a piece of paper in there, what to look for in a real estate agent, so that if I'm not a good fit for you, notice all the takeaways. If I'm not a good fit for you, then it'll help you find the right real estate agent for you. So I just want to do this. It's just something I do for every client I meet, because I really care about my clients, whether I'm a good fit or not. Now, what did I do there? There's a lot of I care. There's a lot of takeaway. So they're kind of confused because they're like, I care, but I'm also like, listen, if I'm not a good fit, no salesperson typically goes in and does that many takeaways. So the person's like, I'm intrigued because this person has so much confidence and I want to work with them because I'm getting a good feeling because they're not pushing stuff. What happens when we push people? We push them away, as opposed to we take things away, they want to lean towards us.
Yeah.
So I would, and then what's the first thing on the list? They should be an author. So now every time
first question is, are you an author?
Are you an author? So they get,
No,
so now,
and
if
she hired anybody but me.
exactly, if they did go to another person, and then with all your awards and all the things you've done and ClickFunnels and like all that stuff, anything that you can use that segues you against your competition, but now that's what they should be looking for. Well, basically, you've just pointed out that they should be looking for you. But if they did literally go to someone else and they started going through this list, they'd be like, you're not a good fit. So you set up the buying criteria for them. All right, so that was reciprocity. Now we're going to go to authority. Now, when he wrote the book, and this is kind of scary, and this was a while back, but the doctors, they would have the doctors tell the nurses to give the patient medicine in a dosage that either would make them ill or even quite literally could kill them. And they were watching them to see if they would do it, because one of the things about doctors, especially years ago, they're better at it now, but their authority, they would really hinder the nurse, right? They would be kind of jerks to the nurses.
Yeah.
And the nurses would not push back. And one of the reasons why now, if you go to a hospital to have some amputation or something removed, the doctor has to sign it, and the nurses have to, everybody in the room has to sign where they're going to operate. And the reason is because doctors would come in and go, oh yeah, I'm removing the leg. And they would start operating, and the nurses and everybody in the staff would be like, I think that's the wrong leg. And the doctor, no one would tell the doctor because he had so much authority. So from a real estate perspective, what you need to do is set your authority. Like, this is what I've done. This is my experiences. This is the book I've written. Like, all those things that you do that carry authority help you in the closing situation. I actually had a mentor once used to say, the one with the most authority wins.
Yeah.
So never, and one of the things that I do see in scripting, and I see a lot of fake rapport building, is that sort of like trying to build rapport. I like to go in as an equal. So I don't go in, I build rapport through listening intently to the client and interacting in a way that creates value for them. It's so raw and authentic, even to the point where if the client's not a good fit, I'm okay with that because maybe I didn't really want to work with them. So it's so raw and authentic that at the end of the day, they're like, they feel comfortable with you because you're not bullshitting them.
Yes, exactly.
Clients have a really good bullshit, detector in their head. So if you try to build fake rapport, which is one of the reasons why you don't like it, which I agree with you. I don't like that stuff. I don't like how you doing today, where you live. It's like, listen to the client, get down. Yeah. If I don't have the time, like in authority, like, you think the president of the United States has a ton of time to talk, like kind of shoot the shit? No, they're important people that get things done don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
So don't go in there being like, like, go in there and go, listen, I'm going to help you. This is how we're going to do it. I want to learn what your challenges are, and like support them and listen to them in a way that's so different than everybody else. They're like, oh, this person gets stuff done. Like, this is good. Okay. So
that's authority. Okay. The next is liking. Is it
liking?
Liking. Okay.
Liking, which is the most confusing one for people, because liking, everybody's been taught their whole sales career, people need to know, like, and trust you, right? In sales, which is accurate, The challenge is what Cialdini was talking about is, anybody ever meet someone, you ever meet someone and you're like, you're not sure if you like them and you resonate that weird, yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
Like Krista, when she met me, was like, I don't know if I like this dude. No.
I told you about David. I was like, oh, I don't know.
Oh yeah. You're like, I don't know. So, but you do that. And then all of a sudden there's a pivot moment, right? Like for me, I used to fly airplanes. So I'll talk to someone, goes, oh, I was just in my airplane. I'm like, oh my God, like Bill and I connected right away. He's one of the people in there. We were like, oh my God. So like you get that.
By the way, I didn't say I met Bob through my category king with Russell Brunson. We both paid $150,000 to be in Russell Brunson's inner circle. So that's how I met Bob. And now,
yeah. And Bill's in the inner circle and he's a pilot and like did it all anyway. But that liking, so what happens is, to influence somebody, you have to find something within them that you like. So
within them. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is the only weird one. It's like, it's not about them liking you. It's about you breaking that resonance and finding something within them. Because if you don't like them, you can't influence them.
So then you're more genuine. Oh, okay. I love that.
That's a tricky one. All right. So then
it's social. The next one's S for social.
Social proof. Yeah. And then there's social proof and scarcity.
And scarcity. Okay. Okay.
So let's go through social proof. Social proof, I use McDonald's because you may not know this, but I'm 53 years old. So I remember when it used to say millions and millions served at McDonald's. Remember that? That was
I'm older than you. I think
you're 53. I'm going to be 54 in July 1st. Anybody want to send gifts?
Oh God. Okay. You're bigger than me.
Anyway, but the millions and millions served, then it became billions and billions served. So I want you to think about this. If I could actually teleport someone into a McDonald's parking lot and they looked up at the sign, and by the way, McDonald's is a genius at marketing, people. They're a genius at two things: systems and marketing.
Oh, totally. I use their example all the time in my trainings.
All the time. In fact, they don't have a superior hamburger, and they never have, and likely never will.
And do you know that they are $143 billion company and Burger King is only $7 billion? So they're the same thing, same burgers, crappy burgers. But they are 135 billion more dollars because they know how to brand. They've got good systems. They copy
all the consistency, all the things that you need. I use them as a model all the time when we're doing Chat and Tony stuff, because they are.
Yeah.
But what happens is, if I teleport someone into McDonald's, they see the sign, it says billions and billions served. Their first subconscious thought in their head is like, am I the only person that hasn't eaten here yet?
Yeah.
Like that's what, and then what is that? That's a combination of social proof, because everybody feels like
FOMO.
And FOMO, fear of missing out.
Scarcity.
So now it dovetails into scarcity. And the way I describe scarcity is, if anybody here has ever watched an infomercial, by the way, I want you to think back at some of the infomercials you've seen. Do you ever notice that there's a guy in a white jacket that looks like a doctor, even though you know he's not a doctor?
Yeah.
And he's selling vitamins, minerals, right?
I didn't know that growing up. I thought they were doctors.
You think they're doctors, but they're really not. But they dress up as one because they know the authority position.
Social proof.
Buy one, get one free is reciprocity. Sometimes at the beginning of the infomercial, they'll ask you questions like this. Did you ever feel that you're not getting the sleep you need, or your energy level is not where it needs to be? And what are you answering in your head? Yeah, that's me, right? It's creating consistency subconsciously, so that when they make the pitch, you're going to go, oh, I need that product and service, right? They stack those things. They stack consistency. They stack the authority, the reciprocity. And then they just spent $5 million on a darn commercial. And then what do they do at the end? You only get 20 left, or there's only 5 minutes to buy. And you're like, seriously? Like,
yeah.
Now that's kind of becoming a challenge with marketing. We've actually found that, people are starting to catch on to that.
Yeah.
However, in a sales conversation, the subtle scarcity that I was using before, like, hey, maybe I'm not a good fit for you. Maybe I totally can appreciate if this is not, if I'm not the right real estate agent, whatever that is. Like, just doing that it helps you really. I can actually tell where a client is just by making the statement. and by the way, maybe I'm not a good fit for you, and it's okay. I just want to serve you to the best level I
I
can.
think you did that to me too when
Probably. I have clients after they're like, "Oh, you son of a gun! I didn't notice you were doing that so much until I got." Well, it's also, so here's the difference though, and Dave and I are very raw and authentic in what we do and how we do it, and we do mean it, and that's the other difference. I do think when you use these strategies, being very
use
raw
them
and this,
ethically. Yes.
you use them ethically, because by the way, I just taught people something that can be used
Negatively. Yes. Use it positively.
negatively. Yes, this is, I used to preface, if I'm going to teach you how to use, influence strategies, please use them for good, not evil. So please do that. But let's kind of talk about some of the objections and how do you utilize this.
Hold
and
on
sort
though.
of how
So
we-
let me make sure you got them all. So did we got
Scared, you got
scarcity and social proof. Okay, we did. Okay, good.
authority,
Okay,
liking, social proof, and
yes.
scarcity.
Okay. Now what we're gonna do is we learned all that. So then we asked like, what are our biggest objections that we get from people? And I have them here. So, here's what it is. Commission. It's like, hey, the last guy said they would do it for 4%. Like, why? What makes you better than the last guy?
Yep. And I love some of these. I kind of thought about some of these and I want to bring it up. So I actually have some ability to sort of share something with you guys. Hold on one second. Because a lot of these I come off the cuff, but I've actually thought about some of these from a real estate perspective. And I want to share that with you. So hold on one second. So especially, is it a discount or they want a discount?
They just want discount
correct?
commission. Hey, the other guy's gonna do it for 5%. Why should I pay you 6 or 7?
But Krista, I can totally appreciate that you want a discount. I really do appreciate that, but I don't cut down on commissions, and there's a very simple reason. I'm a professional. My time has a certain value, and I only work with people like you. Notice how I emphasize you, that realize the value of my service. And before you say anything about this, if an agent is actually willing to cut their commission, how well do you think they're going to hold up in negotiation in getting you the best possible price for your home? And I wanted to demonstrate upfront how tough I am when it comes to really helping you get the most for your home. Does that make sense? Does that seem fair? Yes. That's how I would answer that.
Yes. Okay.
See, now
what about this too? Like, I like this one. Like, well, I don't really know. Tell me the difference. Like, what's the difference between me and the other brokerage? Like, I can't tell you if you should go with the lower price commission. What exactly are they offering you that's different than what I'm offering?
So they're saying that to you. You're saying that.
No,
to them.
I think I should say that to them. It's like I can't tell you whether or not you should discount you should take that commission. I mean, what are they offering you that's different than what I'm offering you?
So one of the things that when I help clients answer objections, I always acknowledge the objection. So you always want to acknowledge the objection. So whatever it is, I want to discount, I want to go with another person, whatever the objection is. By the way, there's a secret. There's another reason why I do this. I'm going to share why we do this, but then I'm going to share the benefit to it. So then I always use their name, right? Because their name is so important to them. So Krista, so I can appreciate you want to discount and look at ways of getting this to be less expensive for you, Krista. And then I'm going to address it. And by the way, addressing it can go wherever you really want. But here's the other thing. Let's say you didn't know how to answer something. You didn't really know where you wanted to go with it. By giving yourself a couple of seconds by saying,
think about,
I can appreciate, it gives you a chance to sort of go, where do I want to go with this? And here's the gap. I'm going to give you guys, sales is really, it's a little bit of an acting job, right? Because I've answered the same damn objection 3,937 times, right? So every time I deliver it though, I deliver it like it's the first time I've ever delivered it to a client. And I gave the example, and I want everybody to understand, if you have a unique strategic way of answering an objection, your your closing ratio can go up incrementally. Like it's so crazy. And I learned this when I was working with Chet and Tony. And I think I told you, like, so when I was answering the phone, I literally started out as answering the phone. And I got to the end and I said, I went through the whole script. The person's like, wants to move forward. I said, great. How would you be making the investment? Would you be using a V? Notice I said investment too. Investment. Every word I like, you really want to become a wordsmith of like saying what, never say it's cost, never say it's a cheap version, never say like if it's it. So this, I did this with a client yesterday. I said, they said cheap. I said, whoa. I said, your investment is inexpensive. But if you're working with a client, you can go, if you want to go the cheap route, you can go that way too. Now, when I say cheap route, what does that mean to a client? Like, they're like, I don't want to go to the cheap route. Because what do we think? Bad service, bad, it's just not a good product, right?
Yeah.
So you never want to call yourself cheap. But so as you kind of go through all this, is you really got to be careful how you wordsmith things. You got to be careful how you say things. Anyway, so I don't even know, I was somewhere and then I lost myself.
No, it's okay. I love it. Okay. Well, I'm interviewing other agents, Bob. So I really can't make a decision right now because I'm interviewing other agents.
I totally can appreciate that, Krista. And you know what? I'm so happy you're actually interviewing other agents, but here's what I know. I am the person that's going to take you from where you are now to really where you want to go. I'm going to sell your house quicker, faster, and easier than anybody else. And here are all the accolades. But you know what? If I'm not a good fit, that's okay. What I really want is the best for you. Now, what happens is subconsciously they're having this conversation in their head now. Wait a minute. This guy is so confident in themselves. They're so confident in their ability, like they don't care. What happens when, again, FOMO, I just took it, I'm taking it away from them. Listen, I get clients, I can show you testimony, like almost all of you guys have testimony. I get testimony to clients saying all great things, but if I'm not a good fit for you, I will not be the person who's you've got to make the decision. But here's what I know. I am the best in this area at selling every home and with every client that I work with for the highest amount in the fastest amount of time. But it's okay if you don't want to work with me. I totally understand. But let's go through the process to see if we're a good fit. Does that seem fair? Yes.
Yes.
See, again, and I'm like, these are totally off the top of my head, guys. Like I'm just working through these.
I'm trying to think of what other
because real estate agents, the one thing I always like, so for real estate, it's just like any other industry. I always try to figure out what are the value positioning that I can create, right? How do I position myself against everybody else? But the strategy remains the same. I'm always doing like, so notice I always give a benefit statement, but then I take it away. Like, listen, I sold more houses in the area than anybody else in the last 3 years. But listen, if you don't want to work with me, if you want to go interview other people, that's okay with me, right? What does that tell the client? Like, damn, they're so confident in their abilities that they don't give a shit if I'm with them or not. Okay. And it's hard. What don't we want to do? We don't want to walk away from the person. Like the FOMO is real. And it's why you have to be where I started. Remember how I said you're going to be disconnected to the conversation? Like one of the biggest thing. So in Krista, we knew each other. Like, so, I mean, we were having conversations when we were talking to each other. But like when I work with a client, when I'm really meeting with a client, I've had clients that have come on and they go, you really didn't give a care if I came on or not, did you? I said, no. Because I know if you're going to come on, it's either right and that's going to be great. And if it's not a fit, then you'll figure it out. And they're like, I felt the fact that you cared. And they always say this, I could tell you cared about me, but you really didn't care if I move forward or not. It was the craziest thing. They feel that stuff, guys, right? So you really got to come in and be so strong. And again, and I always emphasize care for the client. Be caring. Listen, caring is also telling them how it is. Like, look, if you don't work with me, I'm not going to lose it. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it, but it's going to impact you because I'm the best of the best at what I do. Yeah, right? I've said that to clients.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
And I like you say that. I'm sure you go, look, I'm the best of the best. You don't want to move, you can go find someone else. But are they going to have the marketing in place? Do they know the sales strategies that I know? Do they have the connections that I have? Do they have all the testimonials that I have? I'm just curious. But look, if you don't want to work with me, it's okay. I'm just trying to help you. See, that's a hard thing. When you're really in it to help people and they see that, that's where you're raw and authentic. It's really hard for you to get away from. And a lot of this is, anyway, it's just going off the cuff, but.
No, I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. So we've already gone over because it's been such great information. I try to keep these to 20 to 30 minutes because people's attention span, but I know we've not lost anyone because you're so awesome. I have Bob, he works with my sales team. He did a 4-week training with my mastery level students. They loved it. It's like, it's a great partner in our program and we just appreciate him so much. So, I mean, people, this man has sold for Tony Robbins. Yes, he was the head sales trainer for Tony Robbins and Chet Holmes, who unfortunately is no longer with us, but he's written multiple books like The Ultimate Selling Machine and many others. And Bob was the man. So Bob, thank you so much for your time. Don't forget, everyone, go to KristaMashore.com/bootcamp podcast to learn about digital marketing, social media, video, sales, and persuasion tactics, just like Bob's talking about. We'd love to have you there. It's twice a month. It's virtual. It's live. We'd love to see you. So go there to learn more. Bob, I always end every podcast. What's one piece of information, whether it's personal or business, that you'd like to leave with the audience to get them thinking and get them to take action and to really, really impact their life? What would that be?
So most people think they fail because of things they don't know. They fail because they don't put into practice the things they do know.
I love it. That's so true. Oh my gosh. It's like knowledge isn't powered. Learning isn't power. Reading a book, going to a seminar, it's not power. They say
potential power.
Yeah.
Until you actually do something with it.
Implementation is power, and not giving up because you don't see the results right away. It takes so much time.
Agreed.
Yes, and you see all those comma clubs. Those are all like comma clubs like back there. He's got, he's a master marketer. Bob, thank you so much. We love you. We appreciate you more than anything. You're awesome. And everyone, thank you so much for your time. It means so much to me. I know you're busy. But remember, knowledge is not power. Implementation is. And I hope that you are just as fired up as I am learning from Bob. And I will see you next time. Appreciate you all. Thanks so much for watching my video. You can learn more about how to be a successful real estate professional by watching other videos that I have. And be sure to subscribe to my channel. And as always, make it a great home selling and buying day.